Hi and welcome along to AFTV for our Fan Zone tonight. Remember, Fan Zone is our show where you can get involved with us today. All you got to do is download the app AFTV Plus and you can get onto the show tonight live and talk to us about the issues that we're going to discuss. It's me and James in the hot seat today, and we're going to be discussing a few things. Of course, the search for a defensive midfielder. We know that there's an injury at the moment to Mohamed El Neni. The manager spoke about it yesterday at the press conference. But who is going to be that player that comes in to be that backup to Thomas Partey? Will it be Ibrahima Bamba, who's been heavily linked today? Moses Caicedo. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be looking ahead to the game tomorrow. Not Friday, not Saturday, not Sunday. Tomorrow, Friday night, when Arsenal travel up to Manchester to take on Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium in the FA Cup. What sort of team should we put out for that game? Should we rest players or should we go strong? Want to hear from you on that. And also, we'll be discussing Sambi Lokonga. We linked to all these defensive midfielders and that. But what's about the future of Albert Sambi Lokonga? Should he be sent out on loan? There was AS Monaco yesterday interested in loaning him. Should he go out on loan? And what about Kieran Tierney? What happens to him in the summer? There was a journalist reporting yesterday that maybe in the summer he may go. I wouldn't like to see that, but what's your thoughts on it? We're going to be discussing all of those things tonight. But first of all, welcome along, James. You good today?
I'm good. This central midfield stuff's getting really interesting. It is. The summer window, I spent the whole time going, please sign a midfielder, please sign a midfielder. Nothing till deadline day. Douglas Luiz doesn't happen. Then all January, okay, we're going for a forward. Okay, but I want a midfielder. We need a midfielder. We need some depth. Nothing. On any injury, we've been linked to about 5-6 players.
Well, it's deja vu again, isn't it? Because, we spoke about it yesterday. I spoke about it this morning on Transfer Daily. If you haven't already watched that, go and watch that show about the fact that it's exactly the same as what happened to us just before deadline day in the summer, in which Mohamed El Neni got an injury, and now we've got no cover for Thomas Partey. Now, at the time, we tried to bring in Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. He wanted to come. It went right to deadline day. We submitted an offer of £25 million. It got turned down. He ended up staying, and now he's signed a new contract at Villa. So he's out of the equation. So who is it going to be? Now, one of the names that emerged today was Ibrahima Bamba. According to a journalist from Sport Witness, it was the actual source was Journo de Nocitas, I've never heard of, via Sport Witness. They said that Arsenal are closing in on the transfer to land Vitória Guimarães defensive midfielder Ibrahima Bamba. He's 20 years old. He's tipped for a bright future and will be a great long-term option for Arsenal. Now, I have to admit, before yesterday, I didn't know much about Ibrahima Bamba. I had to do a lot of research on him. He's a youngster. He's been doing great things over there in the Portuguese league. He's actually Italian. He's 20. He's young defensive midfielder, and Arsenal getting linked to him. I think, this is just my personal opinion, I'm not too sure about how hot these rumours are. You can never say never, because we've seen, players come out of the blue this transfer window already for Arsenal. But is it just because his agent was seen in London yesterday that 2 and 2 is being put together? I really don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
There are big claims from this report. They're saying Arsenal are close. They are saying that not Arsenal are interested, not Arsenal are looking at. Arsenal are close, and we haven't really heard it. Normally when,
but who are they though?
Well, look, you've always got to be skeptical when transfer rumours come out, and you know how to know if there's something in it when you hear and you're like, I don't know about this source. I've never heard of them before. It could be a very respected journalist from another country or whatever, not the ones that typically cover Arsenal. But look at the Kivior one. I think the reports first came out of Poland, but very quickly, Romano then tweets about it, then Ornstein, and it sort of picks up a lot of traction very, very quickly. Now, with Bamba, it's a couple sources. It's not the ones that regularly keeps up to date with Arsenal transfer news. But it feels like a transfer. Did you say there's a release clause, 27 million or something?
£27 million release clause for Bamba.
If
apparently.
they think he's that good, then that feels like a deal Arsenal or Arteta would do. It surprises me because I thought they'd want to go for someone who's a bit more experienced or a bit more ready to come in immediately, especially with Elneny's injury. If Elneny hadn't got injured and we were linked to Bamba, I'd say, oh, that makes a bit of sense because they're going to want to get someone who's also happy to sit on the bench, but they rate him a lot and they can develop him slowly, but can do a bit of a job now. But with Elneny's injury, it's links to other players that we'll talk about in a bit that I'm sort of keeping more of an eye on. I'll be honest, I'm no expert on Bamba. By no expert, I mean I hadn't heard of him till yesterday, and I'm being really honest. And this comes from someone who plays Football Manager all the time, so I actually take a bit of pride in knowing most of these names. But Bamba, no, I hadn't. And you know, a quick look suggests he's a defensive midfielder with a lot of guile, a lot of technique, can beat the press. That all sounds really good. And Vittoria, who we actually played in the Europa League not long ago, produced Marcus he came from Spurs, but had Marcus Edwards, Edmund Tapsoba as well. So some good youngsters have come from Vittoria. So we will see. I'm sceptical about this rumour, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm a bit sceptical about it. Josh Jacobs, he's sent a comment in to say, no chance, Robbie. We need somebody ready-made, exactly like Trossard in the forward position. We haven't got time to bring a young player up to speed. And I kind of agree with that. I'm looking at this. He's 20. We've got Sambi Lokonga already. You know, I'm with these guys. We need somebody who's ready right now. I mean, I'm just...
He might be brilliant. He might be, you know, Caicedo we're linked to is, I think, only 21 himself or something like that.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
If they think he is really the real deal, age won't matter that much because at the moment we've been carried, or in our dark times, we were carried by a 19-year-old Martinelli, a 19-year-old Smith Rowe, a 19-year-old Bukayo Saka. But I think it would just be... We're now talking about a title race. We're not talking about, you know, the revolution of the club and tearing it down and rebuilding. We're talking about a team that has gone through a lot of rebuilding. And the reason a Trossard was a signing at the age of 27, not old, but later in his 20s, the reason that was okay was because we built such a young foundation and he can come and have some of his best years with us. So I would think that they're looking at more of a 22 to 26-year-old who's got you know, a future and a lot of development but can contribute now. But maybe Ibrahima is ready. I don't know.
By the way, I see a few of you saying that we're a little bit out of sync here. I think the guys are just working to sort that out. Obviously, we're using some new technology today which will enable you guys to come on live onto the show. So should be back in sync very, very shortly if it's slightly out of sync. For you guys. You know, on that, Caicedo is only young as well. £75 million I'm hearing.
Let me check.
You know, Brighton would be interested in him. And, you know,
21. He is 21.
21. Caicedo's young as well. But he has, you know, going back to what that guy just said, he's played in the Premier League.
He has.
Even though he hasn't been here long. I don't know, maybe... Is he worth £75 million?
Welcome to the modern transfer market. And you can thank Todd Bowley and Man United for that, by the way, because Anthony's 80 million and, you know, that's just what clubs are willing to pay now. There's more demand than ever for kind of success and quick success. And, you know, so clubs are panicking and paying big fees for players. That's just how it is. The thing with Caicedo is 21. So you've got... I mean, obviously, a player rarely stays at a club this long, but he's got 12, 13 years at the top. And he is a player that when I watch him, I think can absolutely play at the top. He's quite versatile. He plays in a midfield too. That's the thing. He's not a 6 in a midfield 3 for Brighton. He's kind of alongside McAllister, so sometimes he'll get a bit forward, but otherwise he'll sit. McAllister will play. So I think he's got a bit of versatility. But let me just say something else about Caicedo. He was linked to Man United about a year or two ago. At that time, it was maybe 1920, and Man United didn't go for it. Brighton went for it. Now, at the time, what would Man United fans have been saying? Probably, I'm just guessing, well, we need someone who's ready. We've got Scott McTominay. We need someone who can do a job now, blah, blah. But look how quickly Caicedo got up to speed and is ready and is now worth 75 million to some clubs. That is the thing with a player like Bamba. We'll touch on it. I'll go back to Caicedo in a second, my thoughts on him. But with a Bamba, are Arsenal ahead of the game? Are they seeing another player who actually, yes, you think 20, yes, you think inexperienced, but quickly picks it up and is worth 75 million in a year or two. Caicedo, is he worth that? I'm not sure he is.
KD says Robbie half a season, Caicedo worth 75 million is a joke.
Yes, it would feel like overpaying. The question is, are Arsenal going to spend 150 million on Caicedo and Rice, who will be a similar fee, if not slightly more, in the summer? We know, and we actually seriously believe those rumours and those reports.
Yeah, and for me, that's why I'm a little bit sceptical of the Caicedo one or Caicedo. I just look at it and think, it's just too much money at this stage to do it in January. I know we want to. It's a funny situation because obviously we've got a chance of winning the league. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking to yourself, right? If we're going to get somebody in that position, let's get somebody of top quality. But remember, if he came in, he's still going to be back up to Thomas Partey, isn't he? He's not going to run straight into the team unless Thomas Partey is injured. Now, would it be better trying to? I mean, for me, the best scenario would be trying to find a sort of loan move for a player that you could get in 4-6 months that can cover for El Neni if he's out. And then at the end of that now, at the end of the season, you go and you bring in Declan Rice.
So have Arsenal and Arteta not done too much good work with rebuilding the squad for a lone player to be a solution to a key position? I know it's for 5-6 months, but you're expecting serious commitment from this lone player, with them knowing that they're probably not really going to be a part of it, in the summer going forward, unless it was like, Caicedo on loan, and then you agree to, an obligation to buy for 100. No, but I'm making something up. But and then there's an obligation to buy for 100 million. Then of course you're going to get commitment. But I wonder. I'm not sure the loan market is the way to go. And also, who's out there? You said Frank Kessie. I don't know.
Well, it's not that he's available on loan. I was just saying maybe try and
someone
see if
to look at.
Aiden says Danilo at Nottingham Forest could have been a steal. Danilo's gone there for just over 20 million.
Apparently looked all right.
He was playing last night. It's okay. Didn't really, I wouldn't say he stood out. It was sort of his first sort of game, but he looked okay. Mm-hmm. Of course, we were looking at him last year. Didn't go in for him this time around. I don't know. Khalid here, Hassan, with a very good point. He said, Basuma looked good at Brighton. Look at him now, struggling at Spurs with Højbjerg and Bentancur starting ahead of him. Mm-hmm. That's a great shout.
That's why you've got to be careful.
Yeah, of course, there's another player that Arsenal been interested in this transfer window, and that's Martin Zubimendi of Real Sociedad. Quality young player again. Now, there was a lot of talk that Arsenal were willing to trigger his £53 million release clause, but the player told him that he doesn't want to leave right now. There is a lot of talk that Arsenal could try and make another move for him before the end of the transfer window. Barcelona are interested in him as well. They would like him to come in to replace Busquets. And if they're looking for him to replace a player of that caliber, he must be really, really good. Mm-hmm. But Zubimendi, it shows, if that rumour is true, Arsenal have got the money to go out there and and get a very top quality player. I think
you just hit something that is spot on about what we're learning about the funds Arsenal still have. Now, we knew that they were willing to go big for Mudryk, around 85-90, but we knew that there's things like add-ons or whatever. Trossard, 27 million, give your 20. So you're looking at maybe 47 of that up front, maybe paid already. I think with these links, you can pretty safely predict Arsenal still have quite a bit to play with here if they want. And if they get the right midfielder and he's available, I think Arteta and Edu will do it. And the thing about the Caicedo and the Zubimendi links, while they feel like the least likely because of the money you have to spend, Zubimendi's club are doing well. You might want to see it out the rest of the season.
Yeah, third.
The third, exactly. Sociedad. Caicedo doing well at Brighton, 75 million Arsenal, we're going to pay that. They're the links that are coming from what I consider the journalists or the sources I trust the most. Places like the Times, the Evening Standard, all that. So that makes you think that Arsenal are serious about putting some real investment behind this player. I think that's what Arteta means when he says it's hard. He said in his press conference, we are looking, but it's hard. I don't think he means it's hard to bring anyone in. They probably could bring in, maybe a lone player or a young player, but Arteta's now on this wave of we're looking for the right player. We're looking for someone who can make a difference. And someone like Zubimendi and Caicedo definitely does. Even if it is for supreme squad depth. If Partey sit out a game in the Premier League at home to Bournemouth or something, and then Caicedo comes, are you disappointed?
Oh no, I mean, and listen, you're going to need quality players between now and the end of the season, because if you think about it, it's not just Partey's been fit, but he can't play every game, and we're going to have the Europa League coming back. Hopefully we can have an FA Cup run, so there's going to be a lot of games to play between now and the end of the season, and they're going to be high pressure games. If in the Europa League it would be a high pressure game, in the league it'd be a high pressure game, but £75 million for Caicedo. Well, even £53 million, that's a lot of money as well. I mean, meeting the release clause of this player as well. I mean, it's a lot of money.
It is a lot.
Raji says, agree with James. It will be hard to convince a player to join us on loan and be back up. Rice could play 6 or 8. There's room for him next season.
Yeah, there is.
That's true. KD says, Robbie, who will play in the number 6 in the Cups without El Neni? What?
Check out our preview.
Check out our preview that we've done. What's Sambi Lokonga? Is he gonna fit into that position? I mean, seeing as we're talking about Sambi Lokonga, Monaco came in for him yesterday, wanted to take him on loan. Arsenal have turned that down pretty sensibly, because obviously with the injury to El Neni, they can't let him go out until at least they bring someone in. Yeah. But would you loan out Lokonga?
No, not now that El Neni's got injured.
If we got someone in?
If you ask me, yeah. Really, genuinely, I think we need the numbers. If you asked me a week ago, I said, 100%, give him the move, bring someone in, we're good. Now, because Smith throws back as well, Zinchenko can play in midfield, I'm going to keep dropping that in. But yeah, I would have. Now I wouldn't, because I think we need the numbers. We could go out the FA Cup tomorrow, okay? And then you're going with just the Europa League. But just the Europa League is probably, you hope, games that Arsenal would expect to win. But even if we're to come through those ties, you've got to play home and away. There's 180 minutes of football for each round, And I don't want Arsenal to throw that away. I know the Premier League is the priority. And if you ask me right now,
absolute priority.
It is, 100%. But I don't think Arteta will be looking to throw anything away. And I also think winning a European trophy could be something significant for Arsenal. Now, Arsenal could still go all the way with City, have an unreal season, hit 98 points, and still not win the league. Why? Because City are that good. We've seen Liverpool do it. So do we really want to throw everything away just for this? I think it's getting in depth so that we can give our best shot at the Europa League while ensuring that the priority is the Prem.
Yep, your comments are still flooding in. Stevie P says, I don't get this hype about Rice. Totally overrated player, currently performing in a low mediocre team, in a low performing team as well. He did naffle for England either. His first instinct is a negative passes.
Disagree.
Stevie, have you ever been to a game and watched this guy? I have on many occasions. He stands out in that team like a sore thumb. He's aggressive in his play. He's good on the ball. He carries the ball well. I think he would be better even in a better team. Yeah, I like Declan Rice. I think he's a top player. And to say he's done naffle for no, he's been excellent for England in that midfield. Even at the World Cup, when I was at the games for England, he was one of the few players that I was like, yeah, Declan Rice, Saka, Bellingham. These guys were consistent in what they did. So I totally disagree with you on that one. I think he's a very good player, and I think in a better team, you would see a lot more from him. Yeah. Robbie Defs there with a super chat says Lokonga is simply negative dog. When you play passes to him, there is no fight or sprint for him to get back. He lacks defensive awareness so bad. We need to get a DM. I will twerk for Rice forever, he says. I do think he lacks a bit of aggression in his play, Lokonga. I remember watching him in that Oxford game. He was on his heels too much. I do think he needs a loan. I think he needs to go out and loan and play.
I think confidence is as much a part of it. I know people, it sounds silly, but aggression comes with confidence. You don't go into a tackle unless you really believe you're going to win it. And so it can look like you're too scared to go. But it's not that. It's a confidence about whether you're actually quick enough or whether you're going to do anything with it once you get there. Sometimes it can be that. And Lokonga did make a good start to life at Arsenal. I mean, for whatever people think of him now, I do think he was one of our brighter players when things were going bad. You think we started with those 3 defeats at home?
Right.
No, I thought he looked quite brave. He was trying to take people on. I thought he was trying to do things. But I'm ready for him to get alone and see if regular game time will give him the confidence he needs and whether we see him develop. You know, company rated him massively, and I know that everyone's going to do the whole, yeah, well, of course he did. He played under him, but you know,
that's what he looks like at the moment.
It does. I get it.
Because
I get
he's
it.
not justifying those ratings right now. And let's be 100% honest about it. Aston Mac TV, big up Aston Mac, he said, we could take advantage of clubs in turmoil like Barcelona and Juventus. Arteta was a lover of Kisse and Locatelli. We could go in for them. And he says, what about De Jong? Personally, I would test the waters for Sangara. How does this affect Rice? So that is the thing. If you go big now, how does that affect the possibility of getting a Declan Rice in the summer? Surely for me, that's dead then. I don't know.
And that's why I want to address this comment here from Rudy, who says he's having a go at me. He or she is having a go at me, saying, James, stop with your lame reasoning. What's the ultimate objective? To win a title, right? If they're not going to splurge now, then when? It's ludicrous. It's nonsense talk about let's not spend. What I was saying, and it's on that question you've just asked there, is do Arsenal really get a £75 million Caicedo this January and then a £100 million or £85 million Rice in the summer? You've got to think, is that sensible spending to go and get someone who can cover for Partey brilliantly as a 6 now, when ultimately you're getting someone who, can play 8 as well. In fact, they both can. You know, then it makes me wonder, what kind of midfield is Arteta trying to build here? Is he trying to build with more sturdiness either side of Partey, and then, Odegaard's kind of the lone creator? I thought he'd move towards more what Man City do, which is De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva either side of Rodri. So, there's still lots to learn about Arteta and his future vision for this Arsenal team. But I would just be amazed if they went and bought 150, 60 million pounds worth of holding midfielders in the next 2 windows.
Especially in January. Aston Mac TV says, loan Sambi to Burnley if they come up. A reunion with company could do him well.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to get a couple of callers up if you guys are ready for that. So that we can speak to them. Just before I do that, Jonathan James says, surely there's a deal to be done with West Ham where we get Rice and they get Sambi. We get a DM we need and they get a solid replacement without looking. It doesn't work like that. There is no way on this earth. I was with Nicky from West Ham Fan TV earlier on, and I just sort of said to him, a couple of people have been suggesting on our chats that you guys could sell Declan Rice. He said, absolutely no way. He said the only way he thinks West Ham would sell a Declan Rice, they'd have to get something like £150 million, absolutely ridiculous offer where they say, okay, all right, you can have him. It's a bit like with the Caicedo one. Brighton know that whether they sell him now or in the summer, they can get like £70 million for him. So they're looking at it and they're saying, if you want him right now, mad money. I reckon if they sell him in the summer, probably he'd be about 60 million.
Yeah.
But they're saying right now, if you want him right now, mad money, £75 million for a 21-year-old who's never played in Europe, who's still unproven. Yep. He's done all right in the Premier League, but he's still an unproven player.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan James, I just read that one out. So, yeah, if you guys are out there, you want to get involved in the show, don't forget to download the app, AFTV Plus, and you can come on live to our fan zone tonight and discuss with us the points that we're raising. The other thing also...
Give some names to us as well.
Sorry?
Give us some names.
Give us some names,
Who else is out there? Give us players.
Well,
Tell Arteta.
This is Lawrence W. He says, Harry's Caicedo, unproven. He literally balled out at the World Cup. He was all right. Balled out at the World Cup.
Unless it's a...
No, he didn't. He was okay.
I think by unproven,
Balled
I think we just... No, I know what you mean. I don't look at Caicedo as unproven, but at the same time, he is 21 years old. And I think it can be very easy to run away with it when a young player's come in and they're doing well for a year, even 2 years. You know, that it doesn't always. There's a lot of players that have struggled sometimes. But look at Jadon Sancho, you know, and you know, it's been tough for him at Man United. And Ten Hag's had to go to sort of different measures to try and get a tune out of him. But it can just happen that a young player just doesn't work. You think they've got all the potential. Would you have said when Man United signed Sancho that he was unproven? No. Played Champions League, played for England. You go, what more is there to prove?
Just flopped, didn't he?
But when he came to Man United, he struggled to prove that he was anything near the fee they've paid. So that's, I think, what we mean.
Christopher Jonas is suggesting a player, Amrabat. Now, that is a
Came up
player
yesterday,
who
yeah.
balled out at the World Cup. He balled out, and I like the look of him. Notice, though, that not a lot of teams have gone in for him. Maybe they've already got the shout, you know, from his club, Fiorentina, that he's not for sale. Again, very hard to get certain players away in the January transfer window unless you play unbelievably crazy money. Canadian Guna 1995 says, how can any objective fan want to buy Declan Rice when McAllister is 3 times the player for much less? English fans always overhype average midfielders.
Different players.
I don't think McAllister is 3 times. I know McAllister, obviously, he's won the World Cup. It's my opinion. I've seen both of them in the flesh. Declan Rice is levels above. That's my opinion.
Okay, so
He's quality.
I really rate McAllister. I'd really like him at Arsenal. However, different players. McAllister's like an 8, but could be a 10. Rice is a 6, but could be an 8. So they're kind of doing things in different thirds of the pitch. The other thing is that you say Rice would, you know, McAllister would cost a lot less. I don't think that's true. Not you, the super chat. You know, I think McAllister would still go for 55, 60
McAllister,
million.
you're talking after he's winning the World Cup.
World Cup winner.
You're talking 50 mil at least.
23 years old, roughly, I think. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think McAllister's costing you just as much. So if you're looking for a defensive reinforcement, you never pick McAllister over Rice. If you're looking for someone who can do something in the final third, cool. Then you've got a debate there.
Yeah. Young Gunner says, a wise man once said, sign some players.
A wise man.
A wise man did once say
What
that.
summer was that?
Bloody hell.
Was that the year we got Czech?
That was nearly every summer. Up until recently, up to the
Czech
past couple
summer,
of years.
The Czech summer must have been the worst
My
thing
God,
ever.
that's when I
Robbie.
lost all my hair. That summer. That was dreadful. I mean, compared to those times to now, we're night and day in the transfer window.
I know.
I do like how we are
I agree.
moving in the transfer window. We've actually got money as well.
It's a disgraceful window, wasn't it?
We're a check window.
Do you know what annoyed me about that so much, Robbie? People forget, so that 14-15 season, the before we signed Czech, we weren't that good. But we had a really strong second half. Remember, Ozil started playing his best. Sanchez's first season. We won the FA Cup. I think we finished fourth, but we'd really closed the gap to Chelsea, and we were looking a lot better. And we had a better Czech. And I thought, this is when, after winning the FA Cup, and we'd had Sanchez and Ozil, invest, go chase Chelsea and Mourinho. Guess who ends up winning the title? Leicester. Leicester end up winning that title.
Yep. Well, listen, I think we've got some.
It's made me angry now.
See?
It's made me angry thinking
You're
about
remembering that, innit? It's
that.
making you
Just
angry.
you know what? Never
You're
mind.
remembering that, and that's making you angry. But I think we got
It is making me
some. We got
angry.
some callers who we got coming up first. All right, we're just waiting for them. As I said, once again, you can get involved. All you got to do is use the app and click on sign up, and you can be part of the show. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
Seka Fofana on loan, says Muju. I do like Seka Fofana.
Is he available on loan?
I
now?
don't think they're going to. Again, you know, I mean, we're talking about Lens over there in Liga, and they're 3 points behind PSG at the moment. This is what people got to bear in mind, right? They're 3 points behind them at the moment. PSG, they've got a chance of winning the league, a bit like Arsenal. Are you going to sell your best player?
Nope.
No chance. I think he's a captain as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely no chance. So I think we got to always bear that in mind when it comes to these things. Sakel says, how about Ndidi? Big up Laurie on the V-Rocket dock. Ndidi, it's not really played well.
So
has he,
I
for a
like
long time?
Ndidi. I've never loved the idea of Ndidi like other people did. You know, like for a while he was linked to Man United for 40, 50 million, and everyone said he was the one when him, Tielemans, Maddison, were doing their thing. I've never been in love with the idea of Ndidi, but I But sure, very good player, has shown in the Premier League and gets to a good level. But he doesn't get into the Leicester team right now, does he?
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Would he be a good backup though if he could?
Maybe. I haven't given it much thought. I'll give it some thought. Ndidi, I mean, someone says Ndidi.
Best in the
bang
world
average,
13 times says allow the
injury
allow the
prone.
Ndidi chat. He's average. He says certainly he's in his recent times he's not really lived up to you know that tag that he had at one time where people were sort of saying he was the next big thing to Kante.
For a few years he was.
Yeah, Gira Wright says indeed he's a baller. Leicester just sucks.
Calvin Phillips says Frankie.
Yeah, right.
Imagine
Manchester
that.
City are going to give us another player to strengthen us.
Yeah,
I
could
don't
you chuck
think
in
so.
Bernardo as well. There was some really loose. I can't remember who the rumor came from. That apparently Walker, Cancelo.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Laporte, Bernardo we're all looking to leave.
I saw that, and
they're all disappointed.
Yeah. You know, I do have to caution everybody and just say that, you know, at this time of year, be very, you know, there's hundreds of transfer rumors out there, and to be quite frank, a lot of them are absolute BS. A lot of them are absolute BS, right?
Yeah.
So you got, you know, and that's why I watch Transfer Daily. I try to break down the wheat from the chaff. I try and, you know, even this rumor today about Ibrahima Bamba. As I said, I wouldn't strike it off completely.
No.
But I want to see some more substance behind it, more than just his agent being in London.
I agree.
Because his agent could be going to Harrods.
Yeah.
You know, his agent could be going anywhere, and he could be going to see his gran in London.
Do you remember when Isaac was spotted in London? Like actually spotted in London, like on holiday, and then a registration plate with Isaac was found outside.
That's right. And he ends up in Newcastle. Now, Newcastle is not exactly next door to London. And remember, the other thing you've got to remember as well, sometimes even
we've
with
had
the
best
players,
transfer side.
their agents, a lot of these agents operate from London.
Yeah.
So, all right, listen, I think we've got a caller. Who did
Jack, I think.
Jack.
Yeah. Let's bring in Jack.
Bring in Jack. How you doing,
welcome.
Jack?
Hello, how you doing, guys?
Yes, Jack.
Yep, I can hear you.
Can you hear him right? I could hear Jack. Can you?
Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect. Jack, how you doing? The midfield situation. Like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling firstly about the rumours? Are there any you're getting excited about? Are there any that you're thinking, actually, something in my stomach tells me that this actually could be happening?
To be honest with you, I'm frustrated taking it all the way back to last summer with Douglas Luiz. I think we had this problem last summer. We went in for Douglas Luiz last minute, and we were putting out bids. 20 million didn't work. 23 million didn't work. 25 million. And I really do think that last summer, if we just put in 35 million, I know we only had a year left on his deal, secured the player, we wouldn't be in the situation we are now. Because he's a Premier League proven player, superb player.
Remember though, Jack, Villa were adamant we're not selling. He's not for sale. So when we put in the first bid, they said they're not for sale. We then put in another bid. They said, listen, don't even bother. Don't even bother. He's not for sale. So if somebody says to you, don't even bother, putting in another bid after that, we are not selling him, what can you do? I mean, I know sometimes
you're right.
I know sometimes it looks to us, you know, when we're sort of not involved with the actual deals or that, oh no, why don't just chuck another 10 million on top? But if you come to buy a car from me, right, and I say to you, yeah, bro, I don't care how much you give me, I'm not selling. Unless you beat me up, put me in the back of the car and drive off with it, you're not getting it, are you?
No, you're absolutely right. But I think, as you said, if you're selling a car and I offer you an extra £10, we're definitely not going to take it. But if I offered you an extra 10 million, you might be slightly tempted. You know, with a year left on the deal, Aston Villa could do with the money, maybe. But I understand what you're saying. He wasn't for sale. But now, looking at the players now, I think Caicedo. I know it's a lot of money, 70 million, 75 million pounds, but he's got Premier League experience. And let's not forget, if we win the Premier League, how much money we'll win from just winning the Premier League and from being in the Champions League. And so, you know, yes, we get Caicedo, does that, you know, holds our plans for Declan Rice. But who's to say we can't get both? I mean, Xhaka's going to be in his 30s by the summer. You know, Declan Rice and Caicedo in the midfield. We're going to need cover eventually. And I just think being linked to these other players abroad, do we have time to ease them into the Premier League? Lokonga's obviously shown that he's taken a little bit longer than we'd hoped for to ease into the Premier League. So for me, Caicedo, pay the money. We've obviously got the money. We were prepared to stump up 90 million for Mudryk.
Caicedo.
Okay, well, Caicedo for you, Jack. Thank you very much. Thanks for your call. I really appreciate that. He makes some makes some very good points there as well.
But can I just say, he's not the only one that's thinking that there's something more to this Caicedo stuff. I know because it's 75 minutes January, we're all a bit like, really, would Arsenal do it? But sometimes you just get a little bit of a hunch, and the amount it's come up and not really just gone away. And weren't there rumours of him getting a new agent?
Yeah, he's got a new agent. It makes
me think that there's something rumbling in the background.
There could be something in it. Let's get Michael from Boston. Michael, how you doing?
Hey, Michael.
Always good to see Michael.
Hey guys, good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Yeah, we can. It's a slight delay, but we can hear you. Good to see you too. Don't know if the audio is struggling to come through a little bit here, so we'll leave it to production. It's an internet connection issue, we're just being told. But let's try power through. We'll just ask you quickly. Are you excited by the Caicedo rumours and links?
I mean, the question is, are we buying someone who's going to come into the first team, or are we buying someone that's going to give us cover? I mean, I'm actually glad that we didn't end up spending silly money for Mudryk, and I still subscribe to the conspiracy theory that we were just driving up Chelsea's price. But the hard question, if we had gotten Mudryk, is does he come in for Martinelli? And I wouldn't want to see that. I don't care how good that guy is. I want to stick with the players that we know and love. And I don't want to see this guy Caicedo come in and replace Partey or replace Xhaka. I want someone who's going to fill that role if they get injured. But I don't want to act like Chelsea and just like try to buy a bunch of bright, shiny objects.
Yeah, I agree. We're Michael, I will be honest, we're having some connection issues. We can just hear you, but it's slightly in and out. So what we'll do, we'll see if we can get you back in a little bit.
But thanks, Michael. You make some good points
there.
Some
fantastic points.
You make some good points there when he's talking about, if a player like Caicedo comes in, he's coming in as backup. Are you going to spend £75 million right now on a backup player? I mean, that would, to me, would be... I don't know. It just doesn't seem. I'd be rather Arsenal be keeping back their money until the summer. But then equally, I understand it as well. Is that we want to win this league, so you want to have quality to come in. Somebody's going to push Partey.
He's absolutely asking the right questions. Yeah. Ultimately, what's this player coming in to do? To push Partey, to play as an 8, to try and win a place in the team, which I think Trossard to a degree can do. Mudryk certainly was coming in for that fee to chase that. Or are they coming in to basically just say, look, I'm happy being back up to Partey, doing my job and see what happens. So, it's a great question from Michael. Might get back a little bit later.
Yeah.
We've got Manoj now. Let's get Manoj in, get his thoughts. I want to ask him. Hi, Manoj. How you doing?
How you doing, Manoj?
Oh, good. Yeah, a little bit of feedback, but I think it's sorted itself out. Manoj, I want to ask you a slightly jokey question, but back from what Michael said. Do you think that we were just driving up the Mudryk price to screw over Chelsea? Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Oh, I really wish we did that. We probably are doing that with Caicedo, so you never know.
Maybe. Would you take Caicedo? Would you be happy? Would you be happy with seeing Arsenal spend 75 million on a player that's obviously got to work hard for his place in the team?
Somebody said in the comments, like, he's only been playing for 6 months and he's replaced Bissouma. And so we thought Bissouma was great, but then he's gone to Tottenham and he's not been doing so well. So we cannot really say. But one thing I really know is, like, I don't want to use the word defensive midfielder because Partey breaks the lines. And so he does do defending, but he also breaks the lines. He does a lot of like passing to Saka, to pass forward, but also being able to defend. So I think Declan Rice would be a good fit from that scenario. I know some people say for England is completely defensive. That's because Jude Bellingham is playing in that role. And so, there's a possibility that Declan can play either Xhaka's role or in, Partey's role. So that will be somebody in the summer I look for. For now, I know Arsenal are not somebody who's going to just splurge the cash. So I just feel this is just to up the price for Chelsea. I don't think they're going to go in for Caicedo or any of those players. I think it'll be very sensible in the market. We may go for somebody like who's much cheaper. Maybe Onana. I know Robbie was talking about him yesterday, I think, but it's still going to be hard with the situation Everton is in. But maybe somebody sensible, maybe on a loan.
Yeah, okay, fair
Okay,
enough.
thank you very much.
Manoj, great to get your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Manoj. Yeah, Anana's another player that has been suggested, but again, Onana,
50 million probably.
50 million. He only just joined Everton in the summer. I think that's a very difficult one to get done as well.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'd be surprised if we got that done as well.
Yeah, 50 million, I think, is what it takes to get Onana. He's apparently today rejected Chelsea because he wants to stay and fight for Everton through to the rest of the season. And listen, I'm sorry to be very cynical because you've got to admire that he wants to stay and fight for Everton, the club he just joined. But is there a relegation clause in there? Is there, let's say he gets another 6 months of Premier League experience. You might think that's great for his development. He might be feeling very comfortable at Everton. A transfer isn't just, today I now play for him. It's moving your life. It's moving from here to here. It's affecting your family. It's affecting everything. So maybe he's thinking, I've only just come here. Let's see out for the rest of the season. But if things go right, then I would have played a part in keeping Everton up. I can go somewhere in the summer. If things go wrong, maybe there's a relegation clause in there. Maybe there's a, if we get relegated, you're available 15, 20 million. We've seen that with a lot of players recently.
Yeah. Let me just do a couple of super chats before we go back to the fan zone wall. Name says, if there's time to overspend, it's now. You cannot take this league for granted. Next season, we cannot expect to be in this position. Buy quality now, he says. I like this one from Teja. So he's very funny. He says, get Casemiro so he doesn't have to hide against us. And Sinan says, Caicedo is on the list with Rice, but in the summer.
Yeah.
And also there was one here from Phil Cole. He says, what about Ryan Gravenbach? I think Gravenbach today, Bayern Munich saying that he's going nowhere. So difficult. So have we got another caller there lined up? Right, we're going to try and get Harvey from the US.
Harvey, welcome back. How you doing,
Hey,
my
man.
friend?
How are you doing?
Hey, man, yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, all good. Apologies for the teething issues,
Yeah, we seem to be
everyone.
getting a few little audio issues today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're getting a few little issues through. I don't think it's
Production
hear
is
me
just
though,
telling
right?
us now.
But we
yeah,
can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Go for it, man. Give us your thoughts. I know we've chatted about this a little bit, but the midfield hunt continues. But not even continues. It's getting louder. The rumours, the noises the last few days. You all know Robbie every morning doing your show. But it feels like Arsenal are actually looking at quite serious targets as well, not just who can come in and do a job. What's your kind of gut saying about whether we actually even get anyone, or and if we do, who that person will be?
This is one that, as a fan, has me a little bit stressed for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, Xhaka and Partey are both 30, so we're going to have to be moving them on, and I would expect probably 2 or 3 years' time. So not only do we need capable understudies, but whoever we do sign needs to eventually be able to take up that mantle. And then also we need to have in mind that we're going to need backups to those understudies in another 2-3 years' time. So dropping 70, 80 million when there's a lot of gaps that need to be filled is something that I'm very cautious of. Also, for example, you look at a player like Emil Smith-Rowe. I love Emil Smith-Rowe, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate in the live chat for this, but he needs to clearly define himself as, are you a left winger or can you play as a number 8? Because this hybrid, I'm somewhere right in between both of them. You need to define what you are, because if we're going out there looking for a left-sided player in Modric and we already have Martinelli, then why are we linked to a box-to-box number 8 when that's where Smith-Rowe is going to play? So where does he fit into this mix in terms of what we're lining up our transfer strategy with? And regarding Rice, I love Rice. I think he's a great player. But with the way that we actually want to play, with our number 8s being very, very high and close to the box, our CDM is so isolated. And what they need to be more than anything above physicality, above being able to put in a tackle, is being press resistant. And that's something about Rice's game that I question. How press resistant can you really be? And I think
he's good at it. I do. I think he's good. I think he's got a good all-round play. I actually could also see him playing in that same position that Xhaka plays in, where he's sort of roaming around, picking the ball up, driving it. I think I think if you bought a player like Declan Rice, he can do both. He can do the defensive midfielder position, and he can do that sort of box-to-box role that you see Xhaka doing as well. I'd also say to you as well that, remember next season, fingers crossed, right? We should be in the Champions League. So when you're in the Champions League now, you literally need two very good teams. You know what I mean? You need a team that's going to be there at the weekend, challenging for the Premier League, which we can see how difficult that is this season. And then you need a team, you can't go into a Champions League game like how you go into, say, for instance, the early stages of a Europa League game where, you're playing kids and things like that. You get turned over. You're up against top quality teams literally all the way through the competition. So you need two strong teams. You need strong backup players that if you do say, right, we're going to rest Thomas Partey, I mean, at this moment in time, you couldn't play a Sambi Lokonga in a Champions League game, consistently. You can in a Europa League game. You can play a Marquinhos at the moment in a Europa League game. You can't do that at this moment in time in a Champions League game. So I think that come the summer, if we get into that Champions League, you are going to see that, there are going to be players coming in that are going to offer serious competition if the buying's done right to the players that are already there, not just that they come in as complete backup like at the moment where we'd have, say, a Partey and an El Neni. That's not going to get you far in the Champions League, especially how it is nowadays.
Listen, I totally agree with you. I think if you want to, I think the standard for an elite level club is you need to have the squad in place to win every single competition. And the objective every single year should be, let's go for the treble. That's what the objective to be. And to have that, you need to have two solid players for each position. So 2 right backs, 4 center backs, 2 left backs, 6 midfielders, all of that. I stand by. But I just think that given that when you look at our squad, where not only do we have the biggest gaps into midfield, but the oldest level age in terms of players is also the midfield. So that's one position where we can't miss the beat. And unfortunately, I think with Lokonga, we've already missed the beat with that guy, because we should have seen by now Lokonga being able to at least rotate with Partey, or that we can at least trust him in some of these FA Cup games. And instead we're bringing Partey on at halftime because he just can't do the job. So we've already missed something on a signing there in the midfield. And I don't think we can afford to miss that again. And if we're looking at 70, 80 million pound players who I still think need to come in, still play an understudy role and learn the system, I'm looking at, do you have every single quality that I need from this position? Are you playing in a team that already plays a similar style of football? Does your manager play a similar system? So if we're, for example, we were linked to McKennie from Juventus, who's a great player, but you've been playing with very, very defensive managers for years now. I don't trust you, playing as a lone midfielder, getting pressed and playing the way that we play, despite me knowing that you have the qualities. So those are things that are very key. And also, if we're going to be dropping 70 million on a number 8, what does that mean for Patino? Because when are we going to integrate him to this side? Or once we move on Xhaka, does Patino come in here? But Emil Smith-Rowe, is he a number 8? Is he a left winger? So there's multiple avenues that we have to look at this as fans, because if Patino looks like a bright young midfielder and we're dropping 70 million here and 80 million here, when does he come into this side? So just a lot of things that we have to look at.
Yeah,
great points. Listen, thank you very much as always, Harvey. Some great points. Thank you very much, mate. And
always a pleasure, Harvey. Great
always a pleasure. He always makes a lot of sense, doesn't he?
Do you know what I love about that? He's so right, because if we get say we get a Caicedo in this window, then I don't know about Rice in the summer like we've touched on before. But if they go and do that anyway, or we get an 8 in this January window, then he's so right. What's Smith Rowe's identity in this team? Because I know Trossard isn't blisteringly fast, but he's still quick. Smith Rowe's quickish, but he wants wingers that can attack, right? They could be quite direct. I wouldn't call Smith Rowe direct. I'd consider him a pass and move kind of creative wide player. And then you've got players like Xhaka. You've got Patino returning. What does it mean for all those players if Smith Rowe is a central midfielder as well? So there's a lot of players that we're kind of going to, almost by the end of this window, depending on who we've signed, if we have, we're going to learn a lot about where Arteta sees them for the rest of the season.
Definitely. Let me get through a few more of the super chats. Brian Portillo says we can spend 60 million Why not spunk a 20 million on Jude? He's on about Jude Bellingham. I think it'll be more than that. I think Jude Bellingham's could be about 100 million.
Yeah.
And 87 Dalcantara says Mikel has already shown that he wants ESR playing in the 10 with Martin earlier on this season.
We don't really play with a 10 anymore, but I get you Odegaard's position where he presses slightly more from the front than the other two. I get that. I just don't think Smith Rowe has the... I said in another video that he could maybe underlap and do something in the final third, a little bit like Xhaka does on the left, but he could do that on the right, maybe. But I don't think he's similar enough to Odegaard to come in and then keep everything ticking the way Odegaard does from that side, personally.
Okay, I know we got some other callers there, but I want to switch it up. I want to switch the question up, and maybe they can help me with this as well, some of the callers, if we can get some of them on. And apologies for some of the audio today. I've been assured that it's a little bit of a software problem. Is it, we still got that?
Yeah, they're still going fine, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. They're talking in my ear and sorting it out. But what I wanted to just ask the question. Obviously, we've got the game tomorrow against Manchester City. Big game in the FA Cup. Now, what sort of team do we go with? Would we go with a strong team against Manchester City, or do we rest players? I'm not going to reveal what me and James have decided, because we've got a video coming out where we're previewing the game, and we both suggest what we think the starting 11 should be. But I'd like to ask, we're going to get some of the guys on. I want to ask them. I also want to just read out this quote from Pep Guardiola. Obviously, Pep Guardiola, good friends of Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta used to be do the number 2 at Manchester City, of course, before getting his job at Arsenal. And I was speaking to Pep Guardiola at his press conference and asking him about Mikel Arteta. And obviously he was saying that, listen, yes, we're still friends. He's a friend of mine. And he also said that he knew that Mikel Arteta would become the Arsenal manager, right? And so if I'm just reading here, he said, speaking at his pre-match press conference on Thursday, the former Barcelona boss said that the ex-Arsenal midfielder would never celebrate a goal against his old team when he was Manchester City's assistant. And these is Pep Guardiola's quotes. He says, I remember when we were together here and we score goals, he jumps up a lot and celebrates, except for one team. That one team, every time we score, I jump, I look back, and he was just sitting there. It was Arsenal. And it was at that moment I said, this guy likes Arsenal. So, Pep Guardiola saying that basically he never used to celebrate when Arsenal, when they used to score against Arsenal. And believe you me, they scored a lot. So he must have been just sat down here a lot of times.
Yep.
But what sort of team should we play in that game? I want to hear from you guys. As I said, you'll be able to hear our choice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get Daniel on. Let's see if we've got Daniel on. How you doing, Daniel? Oh, again, we can't hear the audio.
Apologies. Can't quite hear
We're getting a few issues tonight. Daniel, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
We got him now. We got Daniel. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm good. And you, James and Robbie, how you doing?
Yeah, no, we're brilliant. Now, listen, the big game tomorrow in the FA Cup, this is a competition that I call it our competition. This is ours because we've won it the most times, right? Big game. Manchester City away. Do you go strong in that game? Or for you, is it, let's leave out a lot of players and wait until when we play them in the league?
Yeah, knowing how Mikel Arteta tend to want to do his things, I believe he will go strong tomorrow to win that mental battle against the Manchester City team before playing them in the league. So I believe he's going to go strong tomorrow, but not fully strong, but at least to go with a team that's capable of beating Manchester City in the first in the FA Cup.
We lost him.
Oh, we've lost him.
We lost him. He was just about to say just. But basically the point he's making, basically the point he's making, sort of a semi-strong team, I guess is what he's saying, yeah?
Yeah.
Have we got him back? Oh, we got you back. So he's saying sort of a semi-strong team.
Oh, it's disconnected again.
Oh, we lost him
Audio
again.
issues.
We
Oh,
lost him again. We're sorry, mate. We've been getting a few little issues tonight. It's live. That's how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. You do get some little issues. Let's see if we can get somebody else on. The guy. Kerry. Have we got Kerry?
Welcome, Kerry.
How you doing, Kerry?
I'm doing well. Big up Robbie. Big up James. Big up AFTV. From
Where you from,
Nairobi.
mate? Nairobi. Oh,
Nairobi,
big up, man.
Kenya.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of Gooners. There's a lot of Gooners in Nairobi.
And the interview you did a couple of pre-seasons ago was actually on my radio station. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yes.
I'm the guy with the Arsenal tattoo.
Yes. Oh, good, man. Good. Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
How's the radio going?
FTV.
How's the radio going? How's it going?
Going on well. My co-host is a Manchester City fan, so you definitely know how it is in studio every single day, man.
That is brilliant.
I'm super grateful for Arsenal's performances and how we're doing. And speaking of the game tomorrow, I actually think Arteta is going to go strong. Probably, maybe Matt Turner will play instead of Aaron Ramsdale, but the rest of the team, I actually think is going to go strong because we won't have another game until the next weekend, so there's no point of keeping our fast team.
I want to ask you this though, and the last guy kind of alluded to it a little bit, right? What if we go, because there's a psychological game going on with this match tomorrow. Obviously, we want to go through to the next round of the FA Cup. Obviously, it's Man City. You can't go. You look what happened to Chelsea in the last game. They got pumped 4-0, right? But then also, do you want to go there and go too strong? And then next minute, Man City know our hand. They know what we're going to do when they come down to our place. So do you want to go there and just leave a few players out? So it's like, say we went there and we lost, God forbid. We can turn around and say, yeah, well, you beat us, but it weren't all of our main guys. But what if we went there with all of our main guys and we got slapped? They'd be like, I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it, James?
It is. We don't want to do too much. We've had this debate on the preview, and everyone will see it. But I'm of the belief that this is an opportunity. And if you lose, you lose. You can lose at Man City. A title isn't decided even in a one-off Premier League game in Man City. I think it's an opportunity for Arsenal to know what they're really coming up against. And I think the more you know, the more you learn, the more prepared you are. That's my feeling. Where do you stand with it?
I think James is right. Because if we are fighting for the title against Manchester City of all the other teams, forget Man United, I don't know what Gary Neville was saying, but if we are going against Manchester City, I think this is an opportunity for us to know where the team is. And probably if you're going to leave out a few players, I'd actually think only two players should not play, Aaron Ramsdale and Thomas Partey. I know Partey is such an essential player there, but that would be good for us because the fact that we are fighting or rather we're trying to get a defensive midfielder in, and that's because we know how crucial Thomas Partey is in the team. Probably leave him out on this game, have him on the bench. So in a situation where we'd need him, he'd probably come back, but play without Thomas Partey and without Aaron Ramsdale, and probably see how some of our players would fare playing in Thomas Partey's position. Because if I could wheel it back to the beginning of the season, I think nobody would have actually said that Ben White would cover right back the way he's covered so far this season. So maybe tweak the team just a little bit, go strong because we want to know where we are, and also try and experiment a little. Maybe put Kivio there, or try out with Ben White there and Tomiyasu on right back and see how it goes. So that would let us know where we are, where our bench is, and how our team can actually compete against Manchester City.
Yeah. By the way, I needed someone to tell me I was right after that Zinchenko bet we had, so I'll take that. Thank you, Kerry.
You notice I didn't say Zinchenko playing midfield.
Really? That's all I heard. I heard Zinchenko midfield. I thought, great idea. No, appreciate it, Kerry. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. You make some great points. So we got Aston. We've got Aston. How you doing, bro?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? First of all, everybody remember, North London is red.
Yeah.
Love it.
You got to start off. It's been a while, Robbie. I think this is the first time I've had to chat with you since
Yeah.
Orlando, and I got to big you up, man. You're like, you know what it's like when the guy in the neighborhood gets a new car and he's got to show it off. That's you with this studio right now, like Don Robbie with Wakanda for a studio. Like you love to see it. The technology is great.
It's been a bit glitchy today, but listen, we're trying. This is a new feature that we've come with us. I think when I was over in Orlando, I was talking to you about this was something that we were planning to do, and the whole point of it is we just want to be able to get more and more fans of Arsenal from wherever you are, wherever you are around the UK, wherever you are around the world, get you to be able to come on, interact, talk, and discuss the club that we love. So it's great for me to see it all in action. It's great to be talking to you. Great to see you looking well, by the way. And I've heard you on I've heard you come on, and you've been making some great points already on some of the shows. But this one is very interesting because what do we do? Do we go strong? Do you understand the point I'm making when I say you're kind of showing your hand? If we go up there, right, and everyone's playing, Saka, Odegaard, and then say we got beat, we lost, God forbid, 3-0 or something, that might give them so much confidence when they can come down to play us at home. Whereas if we went there, so this is how it could work two ways. If we went there and it was a sort of a weakened team and we beat them, we can say, look, we beat you with a weakened team. What's going to happen when you come down, when you face up with a big man then? Or if you went there and you lost, you could say, well, listen, Saka weren't playing, Ben White weren't playing, Partey weren't playing. Don't watch that. When you come to our place, you're going to get the real thing. It's an intriguing one. And just before you answer that, Brian Portillo, he sent in a super chat. He said, we have to go strong against City. The reward is far too great. If we lose, we can look at our record this season and confidently say we go again. Where do you stand on it?
First, I'm going to flip it on its head. I think everyone's being disrespectful. When I say that, I don't mean this in a bad way, but we don't have a weak team. Tomiyasu at right back is not weak. Tierney at left back is not weak. Putting in Trossard instead of Martinelli is not weak. We got to remember we've got to level up how we call.
Sambi Lokonga instead of Partey.
Okay, Sambi Lokonga is not a 6. Though. Sambi Lokonga is not a 6.
That's
but
it.
Here's the thing, and this is the other part of where we're being a little disrespectful. We brought Mikel Arteta in because he gets it and he's a winner. He doesn't care. He's here to win football matches, much like Arsene Wenger used to say, my job is to win football matches. And that's the only thing he'll be concerned about, especially when you consider that we have a week of rest before and after the game. Now, I understand what people are saying, like, okay, what if they beat us and then what will that do to the players? I'll tell you what it'll do. Mikel Arteta is going to go to the whiteboard, have a picture of the goals from that game, every single one, and say, look at what they did to you. Are you going to let them do this to you again? And he's going to use it to fuel them. So it is just a win-win to me. Like, if we lose to City, okay, cool. We got our practice game out. Like, think of it that way. We've got a literal test match to say, okay, when we go for it in the league twice, we know how they're going to come for us. We know what those duels are going to look like, and we know how the game is going to feel. And I think that's what's really important there, is to kind of get a blueprint or an idea of how these matchups are going to look, because we don't know right now. We didn't have this team to face City all the other years that we've played them. I do want to bring up, I have a little good news, bad news about the transfer thing, and I do want to say that to Gooners around the world. It's fun that we do this transfer, you know, we talk and we think of names and all these things, but if you look at the way that we do business, we have no idea who they're going for. If you even look at the Trossard deal, even though there were buzzings about it, you know, before, those were all suggestions. Listen to what they said. 48 hours that deal was started and completed. This team moved in silence. So we're not really going to know. We're just throwing names out there. Kind of like you were saying about the Bamba deal, like we don't actually know. But the good news is, and this is the good news, Arsenal don't care about how much they spend if it's for the right player. We could spend 200 million in January and they wouldn't care if it's the players that they want. And that's been something that's been echoed from since time back in Orlando. You guys remember when I spoke with Tim Lewis and Edu, this is the things that they said. They don't care. Like people are saying, like, we get Declan Rice, we won't get Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham. Yeah, we will. If they want them. If they want them, they're going to pursue them at specific prices and not go beyond that. What Arsenal don't want are transfer wars, are bidding wars. That's what we're not interested in.
Yeah.
Go in for a price. If that price gets to play, great. If not, we'll move on to our next target. And Edu and them have shown us that they do have multiple targets in mind and they are able to get jobs done. And hopefully, like I was saying, back to the game, tomorrow will be a psychological win. It'll be another feather in the cap and more inspiration for players around the world to say, hey, look, this team is keeping up with the best team in Europe. Of course I want to go play for the Arsenal.
Well, listen, that's a great shout. Listen, Aston, as always, man, thank you very much for your contributions. It's great to be talking to you, and we'll see you on the next one. Aston Matt there, he chats so much sense, doesn't he?
No, but he's spot on. And I'm so with him, by the way, on that test run. I'm sort of ruining what we said in the preview, but... No,
yeah, you could go watch our preview, right, and you'll see...
It's not out yet, but when it's out.
We contrast a lot
yeah.
on what we... I'm a bit different to what he's saying.
I'm more with Aston, let's put it that way. The thing he said that, I mean, I didn't say this in the preview, but when he said a trial run, I thought that was such a great point, It's
trial run is Man City. Shref says, with a super chat, he says, we go strong as otherwise we lose our mental edge over others, which we built up over the weeks. Our weakness makes our competitors feel we can go. But as I keep saying, we go there with the strongest team. What if we went there with the strongest team and suffered quite a bad defeat? But it is possible against Man City.
Arsenal have shown mental strength this whole season. Right? Lost at United. They don't then play for 2 weeks. They beat Brentford 3-0 where they lost last year. They went to Tottenham in the North London derby and won, having not won there in years. They've overcome. Yeah. When they've come from behind. When they've been behind, they've largely gone on to win. Except for the United game. They've shown things that to me suggest mental strength. Overcoming Liverpool and Klopp for the first time, going to the bridge and winning again, playing that way. The way that in games where we're only a goal up and you think that actually Arsenal are going to suffer through the last 10-15 minutes, they've deployed superb control just to see games out. So I think we've got to give this team some credit and say they've got the mental strength to go there, lose, and go, okay, cool, well, where'd it go wrong? Let's be ready for it next time. And I do think they will, I'm going into the preview territory, but I do think we will give them credit for their mental strength.
Well, listen, there's a lot of different opinions going in. LBLB says, Robbie's fair in City so much, stop flip-flopping. Listen, I'm not fair in City. I'm just saying, for me, this is the game coming to
City.
Well, you've got a fair City in a way because they are the champions.
But you're like changing how you want to approach because of them. And the one thing Arteta's done is not change the way he plays. You know what it is,
James? I'm so focused on the league.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, I'm going to be at the game tomorrow. You're going to be at the game tomorrow. We're looking forward to being there. As I said, the FA Cup is our competition. I want to win it. But I'm so focused on that league. Those league games, I can't wait for when we play them at our place. That first one, I mean, that's the one where I'm,
February 15th.
Oh, February the 15th. Can't wait.
And the trip to the Etihad next time, and I saw Carragher making this point, City will have a degree of focus on the Champions League. They've never won. Yep. Arsenal can discard the Europa, and I think there'd be a real sense of understanding from the fan base if you were to see a load of second-string teams, even reserves, playing because there's a focus elsewhere. Arsenal fans would probably go, yeah, fair enough. But with City, they haven't won the Champions League. Guardiola was brought in to win the yes, to have all the success he's had, and he's been phenomenal. I'm not for 1 second saying he's been a failure. He hasn't. He's been unreal. But he is the manager that, with the money, the support, who he is, what he's done in the game, he has to bring the Champions League to Man City.
Definitely.
Is that going to creep in their minds come April when we're due to go to the Etihad?
Yep.
You never know.
Jay says, did Liverpool do what Robbie is suggesting when competing with City? That is a loser's mentality.
Yeah,
we
they
need
did,
to
by the
aim
way.
to win both matches. If we lose, so what? Actually,
No, I'll defend you.
Liverpool did.
They threw away everything all the time.
Liverpool never even used to bother with the FA Cup, right?
Yeah.
They just strictly went for the league,
Yeah.
right? So
Except
I'm sorry.
for last season.
I'm not. And by the way, I'm not saying to throw away the FA Cup. In no means. And like Aston said, we've got a much better squad now. All of a sudden, we've got a lot more squad depth. But do you play Thomas Partey or Sambi Lokonga? Anyway, watch our preview.
Watch it. No, but you're right. Last season, Klopp obviously got to some semis and started to take it more seriously. But they were kind of minutes away from being knocked out by Leicester the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, up until then, they've never really taken it seriously.
All the other years, he didn't. He would rotate massively. I remember the 5-5 at Anfield. We like a bunch of Liverpool reserves, 5-5. That's then Unai Emery lost his job soon after that, I think. But yeah,
Balbo 84 says that's what I said yesterday about Jude and Declan. Why wouldn't it be financially viable long term? If we want to compete in the Champions League, to get both of them, I mean, I can't see that. No chance. No chance.
I agree.
I don't know if we got anybody else coming up.
Yeah, one or two final callers.
We're going to do
get
a few
some predictions as well for the game.
Do a few final callers.
We've
got JR from St. Lucia. Very nice part of the world. How you doing, JR?
I'm doing good. It's great to be talking to you, Robbie. Been watching
great.
you for so long right now.
Great to be talking to you, man. St. Lucia, beautiful country.
Thank you. I want to just make a point here about the whole go strong or don't go strong, right? First thing, come on, give other teams credit. They've got enough game tape on us right now to know what our strengths are and to try and figure out what our weakness is. So trying to show our hand, I think that's a silly argument. They're watching us. Everybody's watching us. When you're top of the league, everybody watches you, right? But as far as City, right? The last game we played City at home, right? They got lucky. With 10 men, they barely beat us, right? If it wasn't City and it was just the team in the position at the league, would we be so concerned about them, right? Because I think based on how they're playing this season and where they are, we should be walking into that game thinking, you know what? We can have them, right? So the question is, do we go strong or do we not go strong? I think we go to win the game, right?
How strong would you go?
Play the players.
How strong would you go?
I would probably, like somebody said, I would drop Ramsdale, maybe drop Saliba, right? And of course, boy, Thomas Partey is scary just thinking, because I mean his track record for injuries has not been good. And we, heaven forbid, something happened to him in that game. We kind of like everybody's thinking, let's wrap him up in bubble wrap and only take him for the important games. But I think I would go semi-strong. I mean, obviously, Nketiah has to start because we don't have a choice. But I'll probably give Smith Rowe a start.
Hold on a minute. You just come on and said that I was putting forth a silly argument, and now you're saying exactly the same thing I'm saying, going semi-strong.
No, what? Okay.
This
Don't
is
get
what
me
you're
wrong,
saying,
right?
and you may as well go with the full first team then, huh?
No, well, I was dispelling the argument saying that we're showing our hand, right? That's what I was dispelling.
Okay,
right? So we if we go a strong team, it's not showing our hand whether we win or lose, right? Because it could flip both ways. We could go with a weak team and win, right? And then walk around with we beat them with a weak team. So when they come with a strong team, we must beat them again. It doesn't work like that in football, does it?
It don't, but you do have that little psychological thing in your head.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
Gives you,
the psychological...
that could give you that little percentage when you're playing them in the next game. Say, yo, listen, we went up there. We didn't even take our full... fans, we say that all the time. We didn't even take our full team, and we broke it up. So when you come to fewer players, right? When you get to our place now, right? We're on you. You know what I mean? So it gives you that little psychological... That's all I was saying,
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I think City's more scared to come to us right now. Because after last season, against 10 men, they barely scraped by, right? And 11 versus 11 with the way we're playing, City coming in as the underdogs when they come to the Emirates. Obviously, we go into their house, we're definitely the underdogs. But, like I said, do you think, let me ask you that, do you really think Pep and Arteta don't have a little conversations like, what you think? You're gonna go strong? You don't think they got? There might be that conversation might happen.
Yeah, me and James are sort of saying that as well. That surely they give each other a call and say, yeah.
What do you think? I don't think they do.
Like a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yo, Pep.
I have wondered.
Is Haaland playing?
Do you...
No, I'm going to rest him up for the game. All right, it's all right, cool.
I
then
think
he comes off the phone. Yeah, Rob Holding, you're playing.
Yeah. Look, I hear. I think there are rumours that go around inside the football circles where players talk to their agents. They find out, do you think he's playing? Whatever. I think that sort of thing happens, which is why if you see Liverpool play City in a cup tie and they both look slightly rotated at the same time, you kind of go, it feels like they've agreed this in a weird way. But Arteta and Guardiola, they are ultra competitors, man.
Yeah, but they're mates as well.
They're being very friendly in the media, and I do believe they're mates. But I reckon they love nothing more than to get one up on the other. Yeah. Absolutely nothing more than to be like, who's top dog now? Absolutely, I think they would.
Well, listen, thank you very much. A great call, man, all the way from St. Lucia. Appreciate it, JR. Thank you. Thank you, JR. Let's see if we can rattle through a couple more before we come to an end on the show. Plus, as well, we want 1,000 likes. We're up for 872 likes. Can we get 1,000 likes for the video? We're working hard for you tonight, right? Have we got Gosha?
Let's get Gosha on.
Got Gosha on. How you doing, Gosha? Where you from, mate?
I'm good. How are you guys? Can you guys hear me? From LA.
Good.
From LA. All right. So, strong or weak?
I think we go our first 11.
First 11?
No changes.
Why?
If we beat them, they fear us for the last two league games.
What do you think?
No, listen, okay. I keep spoiling the preview. I love that energy. Let me tell you now, right? While it's not quite what I go with and all that. Sorry, Gosha. If I'm tomorrow at the Etihad, if I see that lineup come through an hour before kickoff, and I see a full team, Ramsdale, Partey, White, all that, I'm happy.
I'm not.
I'm excited. Yeah.
I want us to listen. I want us to not weak, but I want us to leave out a few players.
Fair enough.
If
you had to, okay, let me put it this way: you go full strength, but if you had to, who do you feel confident enough you could bring in and it wouldn't change the dynamic of the team?
Honestly, the goalkeeper, maybe Turner for Ramsdale. I wouldn't change anybody else.
Tomiyasu for White?
No, maybe another one is Martinelli and Trossard, because Martinelli had a really great game last game.
Yeah, they're probably the two.
But the rest, I will keep the same.
Even though I rate Tierney massively, I don't think he comes in and does what Zinchenko does. Do you know what I mean? So somewhere
Tierney
there's a
plays
change
for me.
there.
Tierney plays for me. Actually, I don't want to reveal what I said. All right, thanks very much, mate. Sorry.
Make
your point. Make your point.
No.
Make your point.
Yeah, I don't feel like Tierney is gonna bring what Zinchenko can bring. We are two different teams with Zinchenko play and Tierney plays. Zinchenko play, we are a 4-person midfield. If Tierney play, which is a 3-person normal team. The magic that is bringing to Arsenal this season is basically Zinchenko cutting, and then we have one midfield, and we just dominate the whole game.
Okay. Well, listen, thanks very much for your call. We're going to get a couple. We're going to get what? Can we get one more in before the end of the show? 2 more, maybe. We got Clement. Have we got Clement?
Yes. Hello.
How
are you doing, Clement? Where are you from?
Slovenia.
Slovenia. Oh, nice.
Yes, you know where this country is. Our country.
Yeah, I've been to Slovenia. I've been there once. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Nice country.
Let me tell you, I would go with without Martinelli, Xhaka, White, and Zinchenko. So for me, it plays Tierney, Tomiyasu, Vieira, and Trossard.
Nice. That's a nice set of rotation.
I think.
So hold on. What about your defense though? Give me your defense. So you just go with our normal defense, apart from Tierney.
Yes.
So you play Saliba and Gabriel.
Yes. because I think that with strong core, we won't lose our efficiency. But I think Tierney and Tomiyasu would be great because we will be in defensive shape for, I don't know, 60% of the game, because this is City and away. So for me, Vieira and Trossard would be great, because maybe Xhaka is, even though he's very reliable, I think maybe he's too slow in turning when you have a player behind your back. So I would go with Vieira and Trossard on the left.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, that feels like alternating in a way that actually I could see Arsenal still playing with their same principles a lot. So yeah, I'd be in favour of that. I mean, I do think it's that whole Tierney thing. He doesn't control games like Zinchenko does. Zinchenko's the extra man in midfield, but then the flip side is, could you have Zinchenko in that team and still ultimately not control the game, because Man City are that good and they control most games they're in? So that's where it's a real test. Imagine Zinchenko plays and we have more possession than City across the 90. Do you know what I mean? You come away from that going, wow. You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird one. With Tierney, though, maybe you're more defensively solid, more better recovery runs. Maybe you don't have Mahrez terrorising us as much. I think it's going to be a fascinating tie. I'm actually really excited for it. Also because, okay, obviously we're going to lose 4-5-0. I'm like, oh, that is really gutting. But I'm sort of like, either way, we're going to take something from this. And I'm just excited about the game because my priority is the Premier League. Yes, you don't want to get knocked out of any competition. Yes, I'll be disappointed if we go out. But I won't have that sense of they've gained on us in the title race or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think it's a really good opportunity to learn a lot about the title race tomorrow. I'm excited about it. What's your score prediction?
I'm going 1-1.
Oh.
There's a replay
hey, listen, we don't want no.
There's a
listen,
replay coming.
We don't need a replay, man. We don't need a replay because if it's 1-1 that goes to we don't. Nah, please, no replays.
I would like to win us, but I think it will be difficult.
Tough game. Listen, thank you very much. All the way from Slovenia. Love that call.
Thank you so much.
Right, we're going to get one more before we sign off today. We've got the 1,000 likes, so thank you very, very much for that one. Big up to also Basse with a super chat who says KT, Turner, Tommy and Trossard should all start 100%. Shref says with a super chat as well, we've got nothing to lose if we go strong and lose. One of the youngest and cheapest and best entertaining in football. We lose, those boys are ready for the Premier League. 2-1 to the Arsenal, he says. Right, who we got as who we going to get up? Leo to round off the show. How you doing, Leo? Welcome.
Hey, guys.
Pleasure to
be on. Pleasure to be on.
Pleasure to have you.
I just wanted to say my point is about, to end it all, it's about mentality, If we turn up and like James said, if we see that 11, if we see the big dogs on the screen, we know that Arteta, he's planning for pure smoke. But if not, if any one of those guys is not on there, like anyone, Turner, Tomiyasu coming in, I mean, maybe not Tomiyasu because he did replace White, so maybe there's something wrong with White, we don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, if any one of those names not on there, this guy better be a genius, because he's thinking like Robbie's been saying, he's thinking maybe this is a mental battle. You want to be the one, knocked down, then be coming up for the next game. Or maybe, he's thinking he wants to throw a tactical change that Pep might build off. I think James would like that. That would be really cool. But at the end of the day, if he's got that full 11 out there, I'm unfortunately a bit too young to see the Invincibles. But bro, I'd love to have been part of the crowd going to every game. No, and we're gonna brock these guys up every time. So that's what I'm seeing. If he does that, we know he's planning to shake Pep in that way. And I think that's the way that we want our club to be operated.
You can also go.
The fans want it. They want a big game. They want the fire.
Listen. We're going to the game tomorrow, James. I'm going. You're going. I think there's going to be nearly 9,000 Arsenal fans travelling up. That's the beauty of the FA Cup is that Madness. You get more fans than a Premier League game.
About
7,000-8,000 Arsenal fans will be travelling up. But we want to see a win and we want to see a strong team. But personally, I also want him to hold a little bit back because I want to be able to say to City after that, yo, there's more to come. When you come to our place, shake them up a bit. You know what I mean? I'm just that psychological. I do think there's a little bit of a psychological battle tomorrow. So personally, 100%, for instance, 100%. I wouldn't play Zinchenko tomorrow. I wouldn't. I'd have him on the bench, but I'd start with Tierney. I want them to, when they then come to the Emirates, to say, all right, we played them last time, but that was with Tierney. But we know Zinchenko does a little different. So what? Do we need to tweak this? Or, you know what I mean? That's how I'm thinking about it. And also, I'm kind of backing the squad here. The only one I've got a little doubts on, and you'll see it when you see my starting 11, I have a little doubts on Sambi Lokonga, and that's only because he's not really proven it to me yet. But I'm confident that Tierney can come in and do a great job, if, he comes in for Zinchenko. I think Rob Holding is an experienced player. Obviously, nowhere near as good as Saliba, but he can come in and do a job. I know Matt Turner can do a job. Fabio Vieira, I know it was against Oxford, but in that second half, he was very impressive. I was at that game, his assists and everything. I want to see Emile Smith-Rowe play. I'd like to see him start. I want to see him getting up to speed because we're going to need him in the second half of the season. So I personally, there would be some changes that I would be making in that game. I don't think we need to go there and play our first team. And I think they would, I was doing a thing with Stephen McKerney today for a Man City channel. He said to me he feels that City will go strong.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
I'm not sure do you think Haaland will play? I don't know, but
I think they're going strong. Haaland didn't play the World Cup. Had all that time off. He's fine. Yeah.
Well, listen, and I feel
maybe
we can still give them a lot of trouble, even with changes. Certainly, I think we'll do better than what Chelsea did up there. We won't just stand off them and be, I think we're playing the same style. So, but I'm looking forward to the game.
Me too.
So am I. Thank you.
Score prediction, sorry.
Score prediction. I think, honestly, either way, if we play full team or if we rest some players, I think we're still I actually think we might win this. I think mentally our team, our whole squad is in a such better place. Even reports coming out that some players want to, Laporte and that want to, might not be too comfortable at Man City. We don't know any of those reports, but one is true. But what I'm trying to say is I think that we got the mental battle sorted right now. So again, it's up to players on the pitch. And that starting 11 show on AFTV, y'all tune in. That's gonna be fire. So we'll see. Thank you for having me on.
Well, listen, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on, and thank you to all of our callers that have come on tonight. Apologies for a few of the audio issues that we've had. I want you to understand this is quite a new technology that we're using. We're still tweaking it a bit, but it's fantastic that we have got this and we're able to get fans on from right around the UK, right around the world. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I enjoy that, James.
No, it's amazing being able to reach out to everyone and yeah, chat to people who look. We're very lucky. We're in a very privileged position. You go to all the games. We're outside the Emirates. There's an unbelievable global Gooners fan base, and to be able to chat to you all, have you guys on the platform on AFTV, chat and also not just chat, but I learned so much. I'm coming away from it. Some of the points that I made today got me thinking. Harvey's right about Smith-Rowe. What actually happens, if we do bring in Trossard and then a midfielder and all these things. So, yeah, always a pleasure chatting to you, and this will be a regular feature on AFTV.
Oh, listen, thank you very much. Don't forget to check out all of our brilliant content that we've got. Transfer Daily, of course, each and every day. We'll be back in the morning with another Transfer Daily. We're going to go to the watch-along tomorrow after the game, and a full-time show where we'll be taking your calls. And, of course, we're going to be at the game, speaking to fans after that game. Hopefully we get a win. It's going to be all eyes. I looked at all the other FA Cup ties for the weekend. And basically, after tomorrow's game, we may as well rest up for the rest of the weekend because all the other games are... There's no... Put it this way, I shouldn't have said it that way, but the biggest game is tomorrow night. Man City versus Arsenal. Huge game. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, listen... Subscribe here to AFTV. Don't miss a thing. Get notifications on everything that comes out. James, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Robbie. Thank you.
Thank you to you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.